Greetings, Iain from RTO here. I hope you're all well on this Friday. And as it's Friday, it's live album ranking today. And today we're going to pick, well, I picked this one because I love this band. And it is the Quireboys, the band that I've seen a few times. And I had the pleasure of meeting Spike at the Monsters of Rock in 1990. And what a nice chap he was. Quireboys were formed in 1984, were strong in London and with strong ties to Newcastle because that's where Spike's from. They were first known as the Quireboys, so they changed their name. And in America and Canada they were known as the London Quireboys. So they've had three eras of being active. First, obviously, when they first got together from 1984 to 1993. Then they was active again in 95, and they've been active since 2001. Now, in March of this year, the Quireboys announced that Spike had been released from the band. Mixed reaction from the fans, definitely. The tour sort of carried. They were in the middle of a tour. Guy Griffin did the vocals. It did spit a dispute about the legal ownership of the name. Then Spike announced that he was reuniting with the original members of the band, Guy Bailey and Noel Mark, to write a new album. And then Story Plotkins. Then he allowed to announce that the upcoming concerts featuring ex-Quireboys members Chris Trumler and Ruby Rickman was due to take place in December. And then there's the original. I don't know who's in the band for this. There's a new album called "The Band Rolls On," for release in 2022 at the end of the year. So I don't know who's actually in the band at the moment. In all honesty, I mean, if you look on various sites, it's Guy Griffin on guitars, Paul Gurr on guitars, Keith Weir keyboards, Nick Malin bass, and Pip Malin on drums. So I don't know who's in the band at the moment, and if Spike's doing something, we'll find out, I suppose, in the near future. So let's concentrate on their live albums. They've released 6, but in my books there's only 5. Because one of the albums is just given a new name, but there's nothing different. And you'll find that out in a moment. So let's have a look at the Quireboys live albums. So coming in at number 6, released in 2006. And it's Quireboys Live. This is Spike on the vocals, Guy Bailey on guitar, Guy Griffin on guitar, Nigel Mogg on bass, Ian Wallace on drums, and Chris Johnson on keyboards. On here we've got Hey You, Sex Party, Whipping Boy, Sweet Mary Ann, Do 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 Do, Heartbreaker, I Don't Love You Anymore, Hold On I'm Coming, There She Goes Again. Bit of a rip-off because it's actually the Live Around the World album just with a different title. I haven't got it. I don't want it because I've already got it, and I thought it was a pointless live album. In all honesty, why don't they just call it as what it was first called and just put Reissue Remastered? No, they give it a new name. So I'm going to give this a 0 out of 10 because it's a pointless album. Let's move on to the real stuff now. So coming in at number 5 is actually the proper version of the previous album we've talked about. It's called Live Around the World, released in 1990. And it was recorded live in London, Los Angeles, Tokyo and Hamburg. Same lineup: Spike, Guy Bailey, Guy Griffin, Nigel Mogg, Ian Wallace and Colin Johnston. So many people in this band, it's unreal. So we got Hey You, love that track. Sex Party's always a good stomper. Whipping Boy is one of my favourite tracks by the band. Sweet Mary Ann, Heartbreaker, I Don't Love You Anymore, Hold On, Come In, there she goes again. These are great recordings. My only fault with it, it's the fading in and fading out. I hate it on live albums. It just makes the atmosphere a little bit drop, but I can't take away from this. This is a great live album, and I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 4, this is from the year 2000 and it's called Lost in Space. Now this is a recording of the 1995 reunion gig when Spike and Guy and Chris hooked up with a few friends. There's no exact date and venue and other personnel known. The only people we know that actually are on it are Spike with the vocals, Guy Bailey guitars and Chris Johnson with keyboards. This one includes Don't Bite the Hand That Feeds You, love that. White Trash Blues is another great track. Can't Park Here, Tramps and Thieves, it's a brilliant version on here. Misled, Sweet Mary Ann, Take No Revenge, Rings and Roses is a brilliant track. Buick McCain's great. Ode to Baby, just Ode to You, just Baby Just Walk. King of New York is brilliant. Hey You is always a great track, love that one. My Saint Jude, Man on the Loose, Whipping Boy, Sex Party, Mayfair, Hates to Please, Last Time, and 7 o'clock. Spike sounds great on this. It's a really good album. It doesn't matter who's playing on it. The tracks are all good, and it looks like everyone had a fun time. So I'm going to give that an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Coming in at number 3 then. This is an album that was released in 2020, and it's 35 and Live, Off Your Rocker. Released at the band's 35th anniversary performance at the O2 in Kentish Town in 2019. The band at this time was Gary Irvin, Dave McCluskey on the drums, Gary played the bass, Guy Griffin and Paul Goering on guitars, Keith Weir on the keyboards, and of course Spike on the vocals. Great tracks on here. This is also a DVD. Opens up with Hey You, there she goes again, Misled, Roses and Rings, Man on the Loose, all great tracks. Take Me Home, Sweet Mary Ann, one of my favourite versions of Whipping Boy, a lovely version of I Don't Love You Anymore. Long Time Coming, I love that track as well. 7 o'clock, Mona Lisa, Smiled, 7 Deadly Sins, brilliant. Original Black Eyed Sun, great track from one of the later albums. This Is Rock and Roll, love that track. Sex Party and Mayfair, a really good album. The DVD is fantastic as well. Played a lot of songs from the whole of their career. Spike's on fire. The fans loved it. I loved it, and it's an RTO ranking of 7.5 for me. Coming in at number 2. It's an album from 2011 called Live in Glasgow, and it was recorded at the Garage in Glasgow in December 2010. Different lineup again. Bass guitar is Chris Corney, drums is Matt Goom, guitars is still Guy Griffin and Paul Goering, Keith Weir still on the keys, and Spike singing. This is another good set. Misled opens up the show, or this CD. Man on the Loose, there she goes again, a fantastic version of Tramps and Thieves. Mona Lisa Smiled, Roses and Rings, love that. I love This Dirty Town, that is a great track live. O2, Lorraine, Searching, The Finer Stuff, Hey You, 7 o'clock. This is a very close and intimate gig. The sound on it is brilliant. And I love listening to this. Again, this is available on a DVD, and I'll give this an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. So my number one and my favourite live album by Quireboys. It was released in 2003 and it's called 100% Live. Recorded in the UK in 2002. Different people on here, but the drummer is Jason Bonham. Guy Griffin on guitars, Neil Mogg on the bass, Keith Weir on keyboards and Spikes on the vocals, sorry. Hey You, Tramps and Threes, Come On, There She Goes Again. This is rock and roll. What a track that is. Misled, Whipping Boy, Turn Away, Sex Party, Show Me What You Got, I Don't Live Here Anymore, 7 o'clock. I think this is probably the rawest live album. I think Spike sounds brilliant on this. The drums are good. I mean, Jason Bonham really adds some guts to some of these tracks. And that's probably why I like it. It's a really all-round entertaining album. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.5. But today I've got an honourable mention. It's an honourable mention because this is the first time I ever saw them, and it's the day I met Spike, and it was the Quireboys at Donington, and it was the 10th anniversary of Donington, 18th of August 1990. And this is a bootleg, I'm afraid, but I've got it because I was there. They opened up with Ride On track, brilliant. Misled, Man on the Loose, Whipping Boy, Roses and Rings, sorry. Long Time Coming, Sweet Mary Ann, I Don't Love You Anymore, Sex Party, Take Me Home, Hey You, There She Goes Again, 7 o'clock. And they do a couple of covers to end the set. They do Do Heartbreaker, the Rolling Stones, and then I'm Your Hoochie Coochie Man, which was absolutely brilliant. They played that absolutely brilliant. Spike sounded great doing that. Great set. I was there, the sun was shining, everyone was having a good time. It was the middle of the afternoon, and it was a memorable gig, and I just loved that whole gig. There were some great bands that day. Just think if I can remember off the top of my head. I think we had Thunder, Quireboys, Poison, Aerosmith and Whitesnake. Not a bad lineup. So there we are. There's a bit of Quireboys. I am looking forward to this album coming out because I haven't got a clue who's on it and what Spike's doing now. So it'll be interesting to hear. But I will review it. And that comes out in December. So we got, talking of new albums, we've got a new album review coming up very shortly, and that is from Sammy Hagar and The Circle, and the album Crazy Time. So join us for that. Bye for now.